Hey guys, it's Jen from ScanNCut Canvas and Scal Help on Facebook. Here we have some fleece material, and here's our freezer paper. When I was down at somewhere sewing down in Millersburg, Ohio, we did a class, and someone had asked, I believe it was Kay, about how to cut fleece. We went and actually just did a live let's figure it out, and found out that freezer paper is actually the best way to cut it. So we're going to actually get started using this freezer paper. Actually pulled out a little bit too much because I'm a cheapskate. Don't want to waste it if I don't have to. And this is just a little sewing stand I built for myself out of wood, and then I kind of antiqued it to make it look old, just because I just do things that way. And when we were there, or when I was down there, they had this really cool little iron. I can't remember what type it was, but when you set it down, it like rose itself up. Well, that just confused the tar out of me. The iron I used was like from Walmart. It was probably like 10 bucks on the clearance stand or something. But I have it cranked up to its highest heat. And I'm going to sandwich this little guy in here. This is just a piece of fleece I just cut off the end, because I'm not going to use the piece that I cut. I'm just going to use it for a demonstration. So let's start running the iron over it. And we used a different technique too, is putting it what did we use? The medium tack transfer tape to try to sandwich it between there to make it nice and stiff. That did not work at all. So we used this, because you know, with this stuff, it is just so fluffy and thick that the basic goal with using this is to pretty much sandwich it and make it as thin and crisp as we can. You want to pretty much give the ScanNCut something to bite. Alright? So the medium tack transfer tape gave it something to bite, but it still allowed the material to move around in between the layers of transfer tape. So even though the transfer tape was nice and stiff, the fabric still had plenty of room to move around inside there. And I had Kay over ironing this stuff on, and someone was concerned about this stuff melting under the high heat. Well, it didn't, because of the protection that the freezer paper gave it. It just allowed like the waxy stuff to get in there, bond with the fabric kind of. It was not noticeable when we removed it, which was pretty awesome. And it cut very well. The only issue we had was the half cuts. So nothing with the freezer paper, or nothing with the fabric and freezer paper issue. It was just my machine doing its typical half cuts. So I'm also going to address that today too in a video. I have a couple today that I'm going to do. One's on scanning, and one's on taking a look at the half cuts and seeing if there's something we can't do about that. Alright, I think I've nuked this thing about as much as I can. See, you really want to leave it on here, and I've actually been touching, watch out for the glare. Okay, I've actually been touching this to see if I can get it to melt, and it's not melting. I've been running the iron along the edges of it. And I'll actually take the iron and run it on there now, and it's still just fine. I want to make little baby silkies out of this stuff. My son had one growing up, and oh goodness gracious, if he forgot that thing, he wasn't sleeping. Such a stinker he was. Okay, so I'm going to shut this down. Let's take a look at it though. See how it's kind of crisp? I actually, you know what, I actually may keep heating it because I want it pretty much what this end looks like. See how nice and crisp that is? That's what I want the inside to be a little bit more of. So I'm going to crank this up and let it heat a little bit more. So I will be back. I wanted to note, when you do this, make sure that you do both sides. That is very important because fleece is a lot thicker than the cotton that you may use, or you know, whatever other materials you may use with the freezer paper technique. And as you see, it's not burning it. I'm going right on over the regular fleece. And you don't have to do this. I'm just doing it to show you that it's still not hurting it. Okay. And like I said, I have this set on the highest setting. Because I want it to stick really good. Because hopefully we can replicate what we did down at that class. Okay, so I'll come back when we're ready to head over to the machine. Okay, so here we are over at the machine. I did take and I did cut that in half. I trimmed off the little excess because I don't want to be wiping those fibers off my mat. So, and I do, when I go and I cut material, you will see me pull it in. Okay, I want to keep it away from the edges. It's just something I do. I tend to find that it cuts better if I pull it away from the edges, just like the scans. You park something in the middle of your mat and it seems like it does cut better. Okay, so let's go pick something out. I gotta find my little tool here. Okay, so let's just go pull a pattern. And we are set at, I gotta figure out where I set this at. 1, 2, 3 in and 2 down. Okay. So let's go pick something. And when we're at the class this weekend, I picked really intricate shapes and made them smaller. Okay, let's make this a little bit smaller, because we all know that the smaller it is, the harder it is to cut. We'll take this to 3 inches. So it's 2 down and 3 in. And 3 in and 2 down. Okay, so about there. Okay, okay. Cut. So it's setting at, that should work. Okay, oh. Gotta change my mat size. Okay, so let's take a look at it and see how it goes here. I have my fabric blade in, and I have it set at, what's it set at? It's set at a depth of 9. So let's see. Did that catch everything? Did I give it a complete cut? No, it did not. So I'll flip this up, pull it, and I will set it again at about 10 1/4. So I think when we had success down there, it was set at, nope, it was set at about 10 and like a half. And this is something I understand, that if I don't cut it quite right this first time, that I may want to jump to a different section of my mat. Finding out what your settings are going to be is going to chew up this paper, as you see here. Okay, I can still keep going though, but you're going to really be chewing up that paper. Okay, so let's go right up to 11. And that paper might start looking pretty ugly, but until you get your cut settings set and you know what they're going to be, you can take your scrap piece of flannel and try setting, you know, your different cuts in different spots if you're worried about messing the paper up. Okay. So we've got a couple little hangers. Right here's one, right there's one. Okay, right here's one. And that's it. So, I would say the ScanNCut did a pretty daggone good job of cutting fleece. Even my scissors are telling me they don't want to cut this stuff. Okay, so there's my paper. And look, oh, it didn't even cut through that part. Hopefully you can see that. Hang on, let me pop this up. Take a look at that. It didn't even cut through that. Oh, it didn't even nick it. And look at that. Amazing. Let's see if we can get this in here for you. Take a look at that. Sure, there's some little fuzzies because fleece is fuzzy. I would say that's pretty darn amazing. So what I would do, I would set my first cut blade depth at a 10. My second cut blade depth would be at 11. Okay? And that's my dialed in with freezer paper cut of fleece. Alright, if y'all have any questions, you can come and find me over at ScanNCut Canvas and Scout Help on Facebook. Thanks, guys.